Okay, so last day we looked at how to solve equations if there's multiple x's, and we said just move them to one side, and we collect all our like terms and we start solving. Then we did questions with brackets, and we said, oh, you need to multiply through the brackets, get rid of the brackets, then do what we just did. Move the things around. Do we need to do a reminder of how to do the bracket stuff?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So let's do this one here. Then we'll go on to the concepts for today. So when solving, we need to get rid of the brackets. We use a distribution property. We take the number from the outside and we multiply it to everything on the inside. So you go 5 times the first term. So 5 times 2 is 10x. And you times it to the next term. What do we have there? Right? 5 times 1.2 should be 6. Then we move on over to the other side. And we have this 4 sitting outside the brackets, which we need to do the same thing. We take it from the outside, we multiply it to everything in the inside. 4 times x is 4x. And you go 4 times 1.5 is 6, I believe. And that's 6 here. Now, I forgot to mention right off the bat, should this be a positive 6 or a negative 6 here? Yeah, because you have 4 times negative 1.5 should be negative 6. Okay, once we've removed all the brackets from the equation, we now start solving. But unfortunately, we have x's on both sides, so we need to make the decision, what side do we want the x on? So what side do you want the x on? Left or right? Left? Okay. So we split it, and at the equals, I'm going to put a big X here to remind us the decision we just made. That means if x's are on the left side, that means numbers are going to go over here. Okay? So we now reconfigure our whole equation. We start off on the left-hand side and check. Is this 10 where we want it to be? So that stays. Is this 6 where we want it to be? No, Hennessy? No. How does it look like on the other side?
Minus.
Yep, minus 6. Isn't positive 6 over there? Becomes minus 6, and we scratch this out since we moved it. Okay, this 4x, is it on the side we want it to be on? No. Is it positive or negative over here? What do you think, Hennessy?
Negative.
Yeah, it's always the opposite. It's positive over there, becomes negative over here. So minus 4x, I'm going to scratch it out. Okay, is this 6 where it needs to be? Yeah, so we've gone and checked everything. Now we clean up and combine. So over here, if I clean these up, how many x's do we have? What do we have here? Yeah, 10 minus 4 is 6. So 6x. Now we clean up the other side. What do we have over here? What's negative 6 minus 6?
Negative 12.
Yeah, negative 12. Okay. So we're not done until x is all by itself. So the 6 needs to be moved over. How do we get rid of the 6?
Divide.
Yeah, so we divide 6, and when we're dividing, we do it to everything that exists. So we divide that by 6, divide that by 6, and x is equal to negative 12 over 6, and you can divide that to becoming just negative 2. Okay? So those were the steps. Now today, we're going to flip to the back page. We're going to do this question, and I'll probably, I don't like the other question. I'm going to give you a new question. So the difference here is now, not only do we have more than one x, we also have fractions. Okay? And we are going to use the same strategy we did before. If we have fractions, we want to avoid adding and subtracting fractions. and we did something. What did we do to get rid of those fractions? Right? Does anyone remember? How did we get rid of fractions in the past? Common denominator. So here, our denominators are 3, 6, and 2. So we're going to do the same thing. With 3, 6, and 2, what's our common denominator?
6.
Yep, so all these can fit into 6. So we multiply all the terms by 6, just like we did last time. The terms just look a little bit more complicated. So now 6 is going to multiply this entire top, so we can put that in brackets. 6 is going to multiply this entire top here. And 6 is going to go over here as well. So every set of terms, where terms are separated by the big plus and minuses here, gets multiplied by 6. Now, the whole purpose of doing this 6 here was to get rid of the denominators. So what we did last time, we go, how many times does the bottom number fit into the number we just multiplied? So how many times does 3 fit into 6? Twice, right? So we cross off the 3, cross off the 6, we're left with a 2, just like we did last time. So now what do we have? Is 2 times this top. So I'm going to write that down. 2 times the top. Okay? So now we do the same thing for the other one. We're looking to get rid of the denominators. How many times does 6 fit into 6? Once. So I can cross off this 6, I can put a 1 because it fits in 1. And what we have left over is a 1 times this top. Right? 1 times the top. Now, this should have a sign here, right? To separate what we just did over here and what we're doing here. Should I put a minus sign or a plus sign here? Minus from above. Okay. And we have an equals. And we do the same thing with the last one. How many times does 2 fit into 6? 3. So we cross out the 2, cross out the 6, we leave a 3. 3 times the top. So I'll write down 3 times the top. Okay. Okay, so now, like what we did before, but we have more brackets here. So we our goal now is to get rid of the bracket. So I take this one and then multiply through the brackets. So 2 times 4 is 8. 8x. Then you got 2 times negative 3, right, is minus 6. Okay. Now the next bracket is probably the trickiest situation you can come across. All right. This is the one where it gets students the most. Okay. We need to take not the 1, but the negative 1. Because you've got to take the sign with it. This is a positive 2, so you don't have to worry. Negative 1 and multiply it through the brackets. Right? So always the negatives in this class that gets people tripped up. So negative 1 times x is what number? Well, what do we write down? Negative 1x. Negative 1x. Right? Then we do the next one. What is negative 1 times this number, which is a negative 2?
It would be positive.
It would be positive. And that's where the trickiness comes from. You got to watch those signs. Okay. So the hard one is done. Now we go to the next one. There's 3. You take it, you multiply it to the first term. 3 times 3 is 9. That's fine. And we take it, multiply it to the next term. 3 times x is 3x. Is it a positive 3x or a negative 3x?
Positive.
Yep, good. So now all of the brackets are gone. We do the same thing we did last time. We need to rearrange this so all the x's are together and all the numbers are together. So we need to make a decision. What side do you want your x's on? What do you think, Jacob? This one's on you. Left or right? Left? Okay. So Jacob goes, we want the x's on the left-hand side, so I'm going to split it at the equals. I'm going to put a big X here and a number sign here, and we are going to start moving things around. Okay, first one. 8x. Jacob, is it on the side that you want it to be on? Okay, it stays. This 6, is it on the side that we want to be on? Anything? No? How is it on the other side? Negative or positive?
Positive.
Positive. So I'm going to write down plus 6x over here. I'm going to cross this one out. Okay. This negative 1x, is it on the side that you want it to be on? Yeah, so it stays. This 2, is it on the side that we want it to be on? No. How does it look on the other side?
Negative minus.
Yep, minus. So we cross it off, minus 2. Okay, we're moving on to the other side of the equals. Is the 9 on the side that, yeah, good, so it stays. The 3x, is it on the side? No. How does it look on the other side? Positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to throw it on the back, and I cross this off. So we've checked every single term. They're on the sides they need to be on. On the left side we got only x's, and on the right side we got pure numbers. So now we need to combine these. Now we have 3 numbers we need to combine. So you just grab your calculator. It's usually the easiest way to do this without making a mistake. Right? And I turn this on. I'm going to clear that. So I have 8. Should I rewrite that? Is that a little messy for you guys to follow? So you have 8 minus 1 minus 3. 8 minus 1 minus 3. Combine all those together, we get 4. So all these together gives us a 4x. On the other side, we combine our numbers together. All right? So what do we have here? So I go out, grab my calculator. I have a 9 plus 6 minus 2. 9 plus 6 minus 2. And I get 13. Okay? There we go. So we're not quite done because the x isn't by itself. So how do you get rid of the x? Divide. So you divide by the 4. It goes, it goes bye-bye. And we have x is equal to 13 over 4. Is our answer. Not too bad. Yeah, a lot more steps. Okay? Now, I want to do at least one more with you guys. Maybe 2. So I'm not going to do this one. Let's scratch that one out and do a different one. Okay? All of them work the same way. Sometimes the syntax, the way they look on the page, can throw students off. So a similar question could look like this. So write this one down. Okay, so the question that you get looks like this, where the fraction is sort of off to the side. Okay? So I'll give you a second to write that down. All right? Now, in these kind of situations, and I sort of mentioned it before, we did come across very few of these, is if you're given a question like this, you don't have to, but I suggest rewriting it where the denominator goes across everything it's affecting. Right? So here, this 2, so if I was given this question, I rewrite this. This 2 is actually the denominator for this whole thing. So I'd rewrite this as 3 times 2x minus 1 like this with the whole thing under 2. Students tend to make less mistakes when it looks in this format. Now the same thing with this 5. This 5 is touching this bracket over here. So this 5 is actually the denominator for this whole thing. So I'd rewrite this as 4x plus 3 over 5. Okay? All right. So now we do what we did before. Right? Before we can get rid of the bracket, we need to get rid of the denominators. We have a 2 and a 5 sitting here. What is our common denominator?
10.
10. So we multiply each of those fractions, each of those terms by 10. Only once. So 10 here, 10 here. So this term gets 10, that term's coming in. Welcome. We're just finishing up day 4 notes. Okay. Now, just like we did before, once we decided a common denominator, we tried to get rid of those denominators. So we go, how many times does 2 fit into 10? 5. So we cross out that 2. We cross out the 10. We're left with the 5. Now, it's 5 times this, right? So we got, only multiply the 5 once. There's a number sitting out here. So we'll go 5 times 3 is 15. All right, so I'm going to write down 15 times everything else that's still sitting there. Okay. Now we can do the other side. 5 fits into 10 how many times? 3? 2. Yeah. Cross out the 5, cross out the 10. We have a 2 sitting here. So now we have a 2 times 4, which is 8. And we still have the rest of the top sitting here. Okay? So now it becomes like a question from last week. Is that okay, Hennessy? Yeah? Okay. So we take the number from the outside and we multiply it to the inside. So you go with the first multiplication. 15 times 2 is 30x. And you go 15 times this one. What number do I write down? Negative 15 or minus 15, like that. Okay. Now I take this 8 and I put it through this bracket. 8 times x just gives us a 8x. And we go 8 times the next number. What do we write down? 24. Positive or negative? Positive. Okay. So now the fractions are gone, the brackets are gone. We just need to start solving. Multiple x's. So we need to make a decision of what side you want to collect your x's. Right? Emma, how about you? With what side do you want the x's on? Left or right? Left. Left? Okay. So you split it. We want the x's over here, numbers over here. And we rearrange. So Emma, is it 30 on the side that you wanted to be on?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Stays. 15, is it on the side you wanted to be on? No. Nope. So it moves to the other side. Is it positive or negative on the other side?
Positive.
Positive. So we'll plus 15 here and scratch that out. Okay. Emma, is it 8x on the side you wanted to be on?
No.
Okay. Positive or negative on the other side?
Negative.
Yep. So minus 8x over here. I'm going to scratch this one out. Then we have 24. Emma, is it on the side? Yeah. Okay. So we've rearranged it. Now we solve. We combine these together. 30 minus 8 is 22. X. On the other side, we have 24 plus 15, which would be 39. Okay. Now, we just need to get rid of that 22. How do you get rid of that 22? Divide. Divide 22. Divide 22. Answer is x is equal to 39 over 22. Okay. So, do you need another example? Is that enough? All right, what do you guys think? Give me a thumbs up if you're ready to move on to the assignment. That looks like the majority of the class. And I'll come around and I'll help the other people who don't need a little more practice. So we'll start.